let's create a little data filter kind of thing. So I want to have a select element here that has a list of dinosaurs in it. And when you choose a dinosaur, it fills out their information here. So in my JavaScript, I have a JavaScript file called data, and you can see it's an array, and each item inside the array is an object. So I have all the information I need here. If I look at this, I have my select, which has the class of items, and then I have name, diet, and period. So let's go in here and start with all of our variables. So we'll go $items, like that. And we need name and diet and period. So I have all the controls. Next up is I want to populate the select right here with the information from the data, from data.js. So I have a variable here. It's an array. So I'm going to loop over it. So I'll go dinos.forEach like this and pass a function. So there's my for each loop. Now I'm not using jQuery right now because this is just an array. So it's helpful again to have the $signs here so that when I see this, I know this isn't jQuery and this isn't jQuery's for each because I'm using a $sign. Now I don't need jQuery in this scenario because I'm looping just over an array. jQuery is primarily meant for dealing with HTML. So what we're going to do here is as we loop over each item, each object in my array is going to be put into here. And all I need to do is go items.append. And since this is a select, that means I have to append option items. Option. All right, so we'll put our pluses in here. So item.name, which is the property that I want to get. So name, if we look back over here, is this right here. So I'm looping over all of the items in the array and I'm creating a new option inside of the item select for each of them. So let's refresh, and here you go. We have the different items right here. So now what we want to do is we want to add an event to the items. So items is a select box. So it actually has an event called change, which is called when the select box actually changes, or the data inside it changes. So console.log $items.val. So we'll get the value from it like that. So here we go, we'll press Stegosaurus, and you can see when we change to T-Rex, it goes like that. All right, good. So there is our list. Now you'll notice when we first run it, Stegosaurus is already selected in here, and I don't think that's a good idea. So let's just put an empty one in the top of our select here, just called option select dinosaur. So now we have it so that when it starts, it says select a dinosaur, and we can actually choose between them. So here are the dinosaurs right here that we've chosen. Now we want to populate that information in here. So we know that our dinosaurs in here are in an array, so that means they're numbers. Like this is dinosaur number 0, this is number 1, and this is number 2. So we kind of need that information in here. So on an option, we can provide a value like this, and in there we can put whatever we want. So I suggest that we use the array's index to put into there. And when we're looping over arrays, the for each loop allows us to have another variable here called I, or index, which will give us the number for the thing that loops. So now that I've done this, I've added values to each of the options, and when I select them in here, you'll see we get a different thing now. So now we get 0 because that's the one that we selected, or Tyrannosaurus is item number 1. So now we have this here. We can now use that as a way to populate the dinosaur that we want. So in here, this will get us, so let's create a variable called dino, and it's going to be equal to dinos square bracket that. So we're using square brackets because dinos is an array, so that means square brackets, and we're getting out a specific numbered item from that array like this. So the variable dino will now represent one of the dinosaurs. So let's go console.log just so we can see this working like this. So when we select Stegosaurus, you can see we're getting out the Stegosaurus information, or Tyrannosaurus, or Velociraptor. So we're switching between the different pieces of information like that. All right, so now that we have that information, we can populate our things here. So the name, diet, and period. So $name.html is dino.name, like that. I'll just copy and paste this. So we'll do diet and period. All right, so let's refresh, and now we can see this working here. So it fills out the information as we select each of the dinosaurs. When we go back to the select one, though, you can see here we get an error. So that's because it's trying to select our dinosaur, but select isn't an actual dinosaur, so it can't display it. So we're getting an error here like this. So cannot read property name of undefined. So it means that the dino here isn't always getting filled with information because the first option here doesn't have a value and it's actually not in the array. So let's wrap this in an if statement here. So if dino, meaning if there's some sort of information in that dino, then we can go like this. Does that make a difference? So we'll go like this and go back to here. And that seems to work. You can see we're not getting an error anymore. But really, I think when we go back to select dinosaur, I think it would be nice if it emptied it out. So let's copy this. We'll type else, paste these in here. And let's change this all so that when there isn't a dinosaur selected, we're emptying out the HTML like that. So here we go. So we're going to choose Stegosaurus, but when we go back to select a dinosaur, it gets emptied out. So we can filter between the different dinosaurs using this data, and then we solved it from having any sort of errors if a specific dinosaur isn't chosen.